You know, they say when you're talking about something you love, it's really easy. So I'm talking about coffee, because I love it. I think I'm a little addicted, but that's okay. That's okay. Hey, guess what? Welcome back to the Trial and Error Show, where today we are talking about one of my loves, the elixir that has kept mankind going throughout the years. So the average American goes to coffee shops and spends about $1,100 a year on a drink. A year. I probably spend more than that. Right now I'm making a pour over. I have a French press. There are other options like AeroPress. That's probably right in front of my mic. There are other options like AeroPress is extremely popular right now. A lot of people making their coffee that way. And honestly, it all does come down to preference. We spend so much of our time compounded by the idea of coffee. Whether we're drinking it, it's a social thing. You're on the internet watching a guy on YouTube make himself a cup of coffee. It's fascinating. Coffee is just very well understood. So some things you need to know about making coffee. It's all about the ratios. How much of one thing is going to complement another. I highly recommend, if you don't have one, getting something like a pour over or a French press. I would suggest pour over French press only because I really love the taste of French press, but it can give you kidney stones, so I would avoid it for that purpose. Typically I make my coffee with espresso, and I feel like this is actually the magic that makes a lot of coffee really smooth. Now, one of the biggest factors in that ratio is which kind of coffee you decide to use. Now, typically you can pick up a Starbucks coffee. That's a decent option to go with, but I would also suggest brands like Kicking Horse is probably my number one favorite coffee, Black Rifle coffee, and Bulletproof coffee. So if you want to check out any of those, be sure to do so because their coffee is phenomenal. You actually heard on the podcast us talking about Black Rifle coffee because it is that good and that well known, and it is just But one of the factors in this ratio also is espresso, and that's something that, if done well, can make your coffee that much better. Whenever I make coffee for people, they're always like, what gives it that smooth essence? Folks, that's the espresso. That is the Nesto the espresso. It is the secret sauce to any good coffee. Whether or not you drink it black or with cream and sugar, espresso really makes it. Typically when I make coffee with espresso, I don't make that much. It's maybe 1 or 2 shots. You put it in the bottom of the coffee cup, and then you start putting your ingredients in. If you want to put cream or sugar in there, you mix that in with the espresso. The reason you want to do this is because the espresso actually spreads when you pour actual coffee into it. And because everything's a liquid at that time and it's super, super hot, it'll all dissolve and make for a very, very smooth essence. Typically when you drink coffee with cream or sugar and you just put that in last, you can taste the separation. But if you put it in with the espresso, it is so smooth, I can't even tell you how good it is. But you do that, take your coffee, you pour it in the right ratio compared to the amount of cream you want. Then you can add stuff on top like whipped cream, chocolate, whatever you want to do, maybe a little bit of salt, and man, that'll change your world, because that's what coffee does. I needed to find a place to put this. Now here on Trial and Error, we're all about supporting local brands and making sure people get the proper shout outs. So what if you want to have your coffee on the go? This is from the best breakfast restaurant on the entire planet. Fight Me, it's Tucker's. They're only in the Northeast. They are a great local company. They have a few chain restaurants up in New Hampshire. They do everything free range. They have their own farms. They consult other farms in order to get their products. And they made this coffee tumbler, which is the best tumbler I've ever had. I have had coffee in here for 26 hours and it was still warm. Now, if you're drinking 26-hour-old coffee, I kind of feel bad. But I've been there, so I understand. This thing keeps it. This thing's tight. Highly recommend. So why is it, as a culture, we are so obsessed with coffee? Well, I think it has to do with what it is. It just brings people together in a way that not many other things really do. You know, whenever somebody says, do you want to go out for a coffee? Rarely they'll say no, because it's not even just about getting the coffee. It's about the socializing around it, what it means, you know, the friendly conversation that happens. There's a lot of good things we associate with coffee. Now, if you're like me, you just are addicted to the taste. It tastes so good. It's just, again, so good. I digress. But there's also something about it that's just timeless. Like when you have coffee, in a way, it tastes like history. Because you can imagine, you have to think back. What was the first cup of coffee like? Ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of irrelevant. Because the best cup of coffee is the one you're drinking right now. I'm loving this video, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like, I'm entranced. Maybe I'll do a coffee ASMR. You just listen to me make it all day. I feel like people enjoy that. Now I can remember one of my favorite associations with coffee, and y'all are gonna think I'm a little bit crazy, but it was actually at Dunkin' Donuts. Was my dad and I would go and work different landscaping kind of jobs, just stuff where it was just general labor. He took me and my siblings to different jobs, so we were constantly out doing stuff. So we'd get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. We lived in a really small town, and there was a small city next to us that we'd go to where the Dunkin' Donuts was. There were a few times specifically where it would be raining, and we'd go to Dunkin' Donuts and we'd get breakfast early in the morning, and we'd just sit in the window and we'd look out the window and we'd just, you know, watch cars drive by in the rain. There was a stoplight right there, so we'd watch that. And there was just something about that was so nostalgic that like I would even go back there as an adult just to, you know, kind of relive that. And it's just one of those things. There's so many good things that we can associate with coffee. You know? It's in every cup. Just gotta pursue it. Whew. Oh. Oh my goodness, that is a good cup of coffee. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for today. This is actually one of my biggest passions. If I could just do coffee videos all day, I would. Maybe leave a comment down below. If I made a coffee ASMR, would you watch it? Would you listen to it in the background while you studied? If I just made an hour long me making coffee ASMR, I bet a lot of people would. I would. I just love the sound. You wanna know my favorite sound? But that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit subscribe. As you see, we do a variety of videos on this channel. That's why it's called Trial and Error, man. It's about trying different things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. So join us for the ride, be a part of it. Follow us on Instagram, see more great coffee content. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next video. You guys know in The Office when they realize that the office has been quiet for 20 minutes, so they're trying to maintain that. And then Kevin pulls out a candy bar and he takes a bite and he's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.